Hi, I'm Janice Giuffre of New England Telephone here in Boston. This room is a recreation of the laboratory where Alexander Graham Bell worked on his invention, the telephone. Tonight's show, Jubilee, is our way of celebrating the telephone's 100th anniversary. We hope you like the show.
This year, we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell was the kind of man who thought the present was never quite good enough, that it could always be improved upon. His own invention, the telephone, best represents that belief. In the first 100 years, it has grown from a curiosity to an instrument the entire world depends upon for its daily existence. At the Bell system, we take great pride in the accomplishments of yesterday and today. But tomorrow holds a greater challenge. And we look forward even more to the progress that can be made in the second 100 years of the telephone. The Bell system, nearly 1 million men and women working together with one common goal, to keep America's phone system the best in the world. On February 6, 1882, the telephone was 6 years old. It took the genius of Alexander Graham Bell to invent the telephone, but to build enough of them with high quality and a uniform standard created a new challenge. In Chicago, 2 men from the Western Electric Company answered that challenge. Enos Barton and Charles Scribner had built a model telephone to Bell's specifications. Its quality impressed Bell and his associates enough to award Western the contract to manufacture it. And on February 6, 1882, they invited Western Electric to become a partner in their growing company. Since that day, Western has continued to be the vital manufacturing and supply arm of the Bell system, building the highest quality telephones, switchboards, and connecting equipment at a reasonable cost. In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. This has been one of them. On June 17, 1914, the telephone was 38 years old. To a group of men near the town of Wendover on the Utah-Nevada border, a grueling 5-year project was coming to an end. They had installed 130,000 telephone poles, strung 13,600 miles of wire. They had endured summer days when temperatures rose to 130 degrees and weathered snowfalls so blinding even the pack animals were forced to wear dark glasses. They had succeeded when the odds were stacked on the side of failure. On that day in 1914, the transcontinental telephone line was completed. A call from New York to San Francisco took 23 minutes to go through. The cost was $20.70. Today, a coast-to-coast call can be made in seconds for as little as 21 cents. In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. This has been one of them. On November 8, 1919, the telephone was 43 years old. In Norfolk, Virginia, direct dial service was introduced in the Bell system. For the first time, subscribers could pick up a telephone and dial another subscriber's number. Dial service was quite a change from when calls were connected entirely by hand. At first, young boys did the work, but beginning with Emma M. Nutt, the job of connecting calls fell to women operators. As the number of phones grew, so did the number of operators. In some areas, there were so many, supervisors had to wear roller skates in order to move up and down the long rows of switchboards. On November 8, 1919, dial service made telephoning easier and faster for customers and operators. Today, with the convenience of direct long-distance and international dialing, it's hard to imagine what it must have been like before the invention of the wheel. In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. This has been one of them. On April 7, 1927, the telephone was 51 years old. In a New York auditorium, a handful of people were given a glimpse of the future. It was called television. The show, if you could call it that, originated in Washington, D.C. and starred Herbert Hoover, then Secretary of Commerce. This first crude transmission was the work of engineers from Bell Laboratories. They had invented the transmission system not for the sake of entertainment, but to learn more about long-distance networks. At the time, few people realized just how successful the experiment would turn out to be. Today, the phone company is still deeply involved in television. In fact, the network shows you enjoy, including the one you're watching now, are brought to you through the facilities of the Bell system. In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. This has been one of them. On December 10th, 1956, the telephone was 80 years old. In Oslo, Norway, 3 engineers from Bell Laboratories received the Nobel Prize in Physics. John Barton, William Shockley, and Walter H. Bratton were being honored for one of the greatest inventions of the century, the transistor. They had invented the tiny device to improve telephone service. In 1,000 different ways, from touch-tone phones to electronic switching and satellite communications, it has done just that. What the engineers didn't realize was how quickly their invention would change the whole world of electronics. Computers, modern radios and television, even the first steps into space.
The Eagle has landed.
All were helped by the transistor, which raises an interesting question. What might the phone company think of next? In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. This has been one of them.
Back in the days before Bell made his phone, the word got around kinda slow. But he found a way to trade good things to say back and forth between people you know.
In the 100-year history of the telephone, there have been many important moments. Tonight, we've tried to show you some of them.
Spanning the land from beginning to end, with everyone pulling his weight. Lessons we learned in the past 100 years, we put to good use every day.
What we hope we've accomplished is to give you a better understanding of the evolution of the telephone. As you've seen, the story of the telephone is more than a story of wires and switches, buttons and cable. It's the story of people, from Alexander Graham Bell to the hundreds of thousands of men and women whose talent and dedication have made the telephone of today possible.
When we began, all we had was a dream, and the people to make it come true. Working together to spread the good word and bring people closer to you.
We've come a long way in the first 100 years of the telephone. We intend to go even further in the second. For the same kind of people who gave us so much in the past are working together to give us even more in the future.
When we began, all we had was a dream, and the people to make it come true. When we began, all we had was a dream, to bring people closer to you. Looking at all the achievements we made, inspired by what we have done. Thinking ahead to the future of things and the better ideas yet to come. And the better ideas yet to come.
The Bell system. Nearly 1 million men and women working together with one common goal: to keep America's phone system the best in the world.